We were discussing the CAD entry at 6:23 p.m. and we had just discussed your views on what aggravated battery is. And now I'd like to continue our discussion on the information that was contained on the CAD entry at 6:23. Now it says extensive criminal history.
Yes.
Based on your training and experience, how would extensive criminal history be interpreted?
More than one police report reporting this type of history.
And with regard to various jurisdictions, what does that mean?
Not just within the Albuquerque Police Department.
So it's fair to say that Mr. Boyd had committed aggravated battery on a peace officer with other law enforcement agencies.
According to this CAD, that is what would be interpreted.
Okay. Now, there's also the statement, it has been reported that he is paranoid schizophrenic. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now, you would agree with me that a CIT officer could use that information to make certain assessments about how to talk to Mr. Boyd?
Yes.
And so this information is important for those individuals who have the training and experience on how to address and speak with someone who has paranoid schizophrenia.
Yes.
Now, there's also a statement here. It says, he is a transient that is known to frequent public libraries. Why is that important for an officer to know that particular bit of information?
I think the fact that he's transient means that he doesn't have a house, he's not living anywhere. Sometimes if we contact an individual, say up in the mountains like that or in the open space area, but they live at a certain residence or if family is discovered, then perhaps there's ways of trying to communicate with family to see if there's anything that can be done to resolve the situation. But because it's saying he's transient, then that's just saying he's not, that option's not really there.
The next statement is, use extreme caution when contacting James. Do you see that?
Yes.
Based on your training and experience, how is a police officer with the Albuquerque Police Department trained to essentially assess and take the next steps after learning that the person that they're dealing with, that they should use extreme caution when contacting them?
Again, it goes back to police officers contact multiple people throughout the city on a daily basis. And again, most of those contacts are very casual, just like any other contact between one person and another. However, when you have knowledge that someone, like with this statement, and they're telling you to use caution when contacting him or contacting James, then you wouldn't just go up and shake his hand and approach him like you would any other person because of the possibility that violence may occur.
Now I'm going to turn your attention to the information that is the history from 6:30 that day, 6:30 p.m. Now first, I'd like to ask you, who is the person providing the information that we're going to talk about subsequently?
Again, it's the officer that's up in the Real-Time Crime Center. RC35 is the call sign.
Now, do you happen to know, based on your investigation, do you happen to know the name of that individual?
I believe it was Officer Luthi.
Okay. Is that someone who's a certified law enforcement officer?
Yes.
Okay. Now, turning your attention to this particular statement, what is a web query?
Web query is one of the many databases that we have to run police reports, past police reports. There's various different ways that you can run those reports by running someone's name or running a case number or something to that effect.
The next statement is, I've located numerous 16s. What's 16s?
16 is the 10 code for arrest.
Okay. So there's criminal damage. What is that?
Criminal damage is whenever somebody damages property that does not belong to them, whether it be public property or private property.
And then there's ag battery against MDC 34. What does that mean?
MDC is the Metropolitan Detention Center. 34 is officer. So what they're referring to there is a guard at the Metropolitan Detention Center, and that there was an arrest or a charge at one point in time for an aggravated battery against an MDC guard.
So is it correct to say that this bit of information is communicating that at one time James Boyd was arrested for the crime of aggravated battery against a corrections officer who worked at the Metropolitan Detention Center?
That's what it says.
And just to be clear, the Metropolitan Detention Center is the jail for Bernalillo County.
Yes, whenever someone is arrested within Bernalillo County, that is where they are booked.
Now, there's a case with a number that follows it. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now, if an officer is at his MDT mobile, I think it's MDT, right?
Yes.
What ability do they have to actually look at the police report?
As it pertains to the Albuquerque police reports, they can very quickly pull up any past police report that has already been submitted and approved by a sergeant and is in the system for public access.
So is it fair to say that, for example, when there's a case number here for an Albuquerque Police Department report, it's simply a hyperlink to that report?
Yes.
Now, in your investigation of this case, did you verify that there in fact was an arrest for aggravated battery against an MDC corrections officer?
There was a charge. I mean, he was already...
Excuse me, Your Honor, I'm going to object in the first place.
You see the statement and APD 34s. Do you see that?
Yes.
What does that mean?
So going back to the whole sentence, aggravated battery against MDC 34 gives the case number and APD 34, so Albuquerque Police Department officers, and it gives the case number for that incident.
Now, there's also 40 TOT for attempting to unlawfully enter a military base. What does that mean?
So 40 TOT, again, 1040 mental patient means that he was transported to a hospital for a mental evaluation, whether it was a voluntary or not voluntary, that would have been deemed there at the scene. And it was because he was attempting to enter onto a military base where he did not have access.
And because there's a case number there, is it fair to say that the military base that Mr. Boyd was trying to enter was within the city of Albuquerque, the city limits of the city of Albuquerque?
Based on this case number, it appears so.
Now, does an officer have the discretion to take someone who they believe to be mentally ill to receive mental health care services as opposed to arresting them?
If the officer deems that that is the necessary thing that has to happen, yes, that is a possibility.
I'd like to turn your attention to what occurred at 6:59 p.m. Would you please tell us who was the source of this comment and what the comment means?
Source of the comment 754 was Canine Officer Scott Weimerskirch. He's saying subject still highly irate, talks about 27-1ing 34s, and 27-1 is the code we refer to for homicide/murder. So when someone is saying 27-1ing, then they're referring to talks about killing. 34s officers and making other 1040 comments. Again, officers would take that as he's making comments out of the ordinary that maybe delusional comments that don't make sense.
So, based on this information, an officer who was to review it would know that Mr. Boyd is making statements about killing or murdering officers, is that right?
Yes.
In addition to making, Mr. Boyd making statements that, for whatever reason, the officer suggested that Mr. Boyd was mentally ill.
Yes.
Now, in your experience, how common is it to have someone making overt threats to kill law enforcement officers?
It's not uncommon when amongst certain types of people.
Is it, in your experience, common for the mentally ill to make threats like that against the police?
No, not uncommon.
Okay. You would agree with me that, in your experience, that dealing with the mentally ill and having worked with them, that they, for the most part, are no more violent than anyone else. You would agree with that?
That's true.
And it's only a very small segment of the mentally ill population that poses a officer safety risk to officers. Is that right?
That is true.
But you would agree with me that those who are mentally ill and violent are unpredictable.
That is true.
And it's that unpredictability that makes them as dangerous as they are.
That's right.
I'd like to turn your attention to what was the comments that were made at 7:06. Who made that statement, and what does it mean?
Again, 754, that's going to be Officer Scott Weimerskirch, and he's saying negotiations are not productive. He was, again, the primary person after McCall Monet that was having actual verbal communication with James Boyd.
Now I'd like to turn your attention to what was happening at 7:28. Who was making the comment, and what does the comment mean?
Again, 754, Officer CAD and Officer Scott Weimerskirch saying subject not compliant with 34's officer's commands, wants to walk downhill with his bags.
Now, based on your investigation, what did you conclude about why the terms by which the officers would allow Mr. Boyd to walk down the hill?
He had to relinquish his knives, not merely just put them in his pockets, he had to put them on the ground.
Okay. Based on your investigation, what did you learn about the success of the officers' efforts to convince Mr. Boyd to relinquish his knives so that he could walk down the hill?
He never put his knives on the ground. He never relinquished the knives.
Now, during this time, not only were there the radio tapes, but also Officer Weimerskirch had his video camera running.
Yes.
And you would agree with me that Acting Sergeant Ingram also had his belt tape recorder running.
Yes.
Those three sources of information provided you with essentially a running history of the interactions that occurred between not only Mr. Boyd and the officers, but among the officers. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
All of the interactions that, for example, Officer Weimerskirch, Officer Ingram, and Detective Sandy had were all recorded.
Yes.
And you were able to sort of look at all of these recordings and make assessments about what was happening.
Yes.
You would agree with me, based on your review of the APD radio tape, that Sergeant Fox had asked Officer Weimerskirch to develop a plan to take Mr. Boyd into custody before dark.
I believe that's correct.
Now, this hasn't come up quite yet, but would you please explain Sergeant Fox's role at this particular point in the incident?
Again, Sergeant Fox was part of the SWAT team. He had arrived on scene shortly before everything happened. And it's his role, his responsibility to come up with eventually start coming up with a tactical plan in conjunction with his team leader, which is Ramon Ornelas. And they are the ones that will eventually kind of assume command of the scene and actually start issuing orders to the other members of the SWAT team and telling where other field officers need to be positioned as far as perimeter positions.
You would agree, according to your investigation, that Sergeant Fox only asked Officer Weimerskirch and no one else to develop a plan to take Mr. Boyd into custody?
Yes.
Now, based on your investigation, did Officer Weimerskirch develop a plan?
Again, like I had said, there was plans that had been discussed, but I could never really discern if a finalized plan was ever really put into, was ever come up with.
Okay. Based on your investigation, why was nightfall an issue with regards to taking Mr. Boyd into custody?
Nightfall was an issue in the foothills due to the fact that unlike an urban environment like the city, there were no street lights, there were no other kind of like maybe house lights that would give light and allow officers to see much past 10 or 20 feet without the use of their night vision goggles, and also due to the fact that with the terrain, the fact that there were large boulders, big bushes that could be hidden, where people could hide, and that the fact that James Boyd would not be able to be seen if he started moving around in the area of his camp, even though they had a loose perimeter around it.
To the extent that Officer Weimer-Skirch developed a plan, you would agree that there is nothing in your investigation that shows that Officer Weimer-Skirch communicated that plan on the radio.
No.
And you would agree with me that there's no evidence uncovered in your investigation that Officer Perez was ever told by anyone what plan, if any, Officer Weimer-Skirch may have developed.
That's correct.
And you would agree with me that on the when in terms of radio dispatch traffic, that is the radio communications that were taking place, there was nothing there that would inform anyone who was listening what Officer Weimer-Skirch's plan, if any, actually was.
That's correct.
You also would agree with me that you found no evidence in your investigation that anyone, that includes Detective Sandy, Officer Weimer-Skirch, and Acting Sergeant Ingram, ever directly communicated with Officer Perez during this incident, I should say, before the shooting occurred.
That's correct. There was no communication between those three and Officer Perez.
And it's correct to say that Officer Perez did not arrive at this location, or I should say, in the area where the incident was happening till about 7:11, is that right?
It's approximately around there.
And you would agree with me that what's shown on Officer Perez's helmet camera basically, for the most part, shows everything that happened once Officer Perez had arrived to that bottom of the hill where Mr. Boyd was located?
Correct. He turned on his helmet camera basically right at the time when he reached the area where he could actually start providing assistance to those officers.
And you would agree with me that nowhere on Officer Perez's helmet camera is there any communication from any officer as to what those officers are going to do next?
No.
And so it's fair to say that, based on your investigation, that Officer Perez had no information from those officers about the plan that Officer Weimer-Skirch may have developed?
That's correct. Those officers were actually unaware that Officer Perez was there.
Okay. Now I'd like to talk to you about your review of all the audio and videotapes and make some assessments really about some of the things that were said. Now, during your investigation, of course, you learned that Mr. Boyd was told or ordered to drop his knives. Is that right?
Yes, he was.
And based on your review of that evidence, you would agree with me that Officer Hernandez and Officer McDaniel ordered Mr. Boyd to drop his knives approximately 25 times.
That sounds about right.
The patrol officers, meaning Sergeant Jason Carpenter, Officers Niprath, Monet, Rogelio, and Wetterlin ordered Mr. Boyd to drop his knives 3 times.
Sounds about right.
And Officer Weimer-Skirch ordered or asked Mr. Boyd to drop his knives 5 times.
That sounds about right.
Is it a fair approximation to say that Mr. Boyd was asked approximately 33 times to drop his knives?
That sounds approximately correct.
Now, during your investigation, is it correct to say that you were able to determine how many times officers asked Mr. Boyd to keep his hands out of his pocket?
Yes.
Now, you would agree with me that the purpose of asking Mr. Boyd to keep his hands out of his pocket is an officer's safety reason, isn't that right?
Yes, all officers are trained in the academy to ask people to keep their hands out of their pockets, because we're trained that the majority of people, when they're carrying weapons, will carry them in their pockets. So we always like to see the hands. And also they had knowledge that the very weapons in question were in Mr. Boyd's pockets.
Now, in your review of all the video and audio tapes, would you agree with me that the patrol officers who negotiated with Mr. Boyd asked Mr. Boyd 11 times to keep his hands out of his pockets?
That sounds about right.
And you would agree with me that Mr. Boyd refused to do what those officers had asked him, that is, keep his hands out of his pockets?
It sounded like that was the case. Again, it was hard to say because not all of the video actually showed James Boyd's actions, so I couldn't tell if he was actually taking his hands out of his pockets or if he wasn't.
Now, in your review of all the videos and the audios, you would agree with me that Mr. Boyd threatened to kill the officers,
Yes, he did.
and he used specifically the word kill. Is that right?
Yes,
Mr. Boyd threatened to kill officers Hernandez and McDaniel 3 times,
it sounds about right.
and Mr. Boyd threatened to kill the patrol officers at least once,
Yes,
and Mr. Boyd threatened to kill Officer Weimer Skirch approximately 15 times. Is that right?
it sounds about right.
All right. And it would be a fair approximation to say that Mr. Boyd threatened to kill the officers approximately 19 times.
That sounds about right.
Okay. Is that a fair estimate in your view?
Yes, again, in my mind, I don't have every single one counted, but I've gone over the tapes enough to know that that's approximately correct.
Okay. Now I'd like to ask you about the efforts that Mr. Boyd made to surrender to law enforcement. Now, in your review of the evidence in this case, right before Mr. Boyd was shot, did Mr. Boyd ever make any verbal statement that indicated that he was going to surrender?
Not that he was going to surrender, no.
Okay. Mr. Boyd never said, "I give up."
No,
Mr. Boyd never said, "I'll drop the knives."
no,
Mr. Boyd didn't say, "Stop."
no,
You would agree with me that Mr. Boyd never said a word to the officers during that final confrontation that would suggest that he was attempting to surrender.
he said something, but it didn't have anything to do with surrender, I don't believe.
Now, you would agree with me that before Mr. Boyd was shot, he did not exhibit any physical gesture that suggested he was surrendering.
No, not at all.
Mr. Boyd never put up his hands.
No,
And you would agree with me, based on your training and experience, that when suspects surrender to the police, oftentimes they will show their hands.
yes,
That is something I think that the culture that we live in has taught people to do when they're surrendering to the police.
Question is speculation, Your Honor.
yes,
Now, did Mr. Boyd ever drop his knives?
never,
No, he didn't put his knives away before the final frames when he was shot.
no,
Mr. Boyd didn't drop to his knees.
no,
And you would agree with me that Mr. Boyd never made any physical gesture that based on your investigation, suggested that he was surrendering.
not at all.
Now, you would agree with me that in your review of the radio tapes, no officer ever made a radio dispatch that he believed or she believed that Mr. Boyd was surrendering.
No,
And you would agree with me that there wasn't a single interview that you took or a single interview that you reviewed where there was an officer who said, "I believe Mr. Boyd was surrendering before he was shot."
that's correct. Nobody said that.
Now I'd like to review some of the incidents in which Mr. Boyd made threats to the law enforcement officers. And with the court's permission, I would like to play Exhibit B3A and the transcript, which is, I believe, B4A. Now, the state police officer that Mr. Boyd is referring to is
I'm sorry, what was that?
that Mr. Boyd is referring to a state police officer in that particular segment?
Yes, I believe Officer Mitch Bankston.
And in your review of the negotiations which Officer Mitch Bankston had with Mr. Boyd, did your review reveal anything that Mitch Bankston said or did that made Mr. Boyd angry?
Again, I know when he would talk about the fact that he needed to relinquish his knives, that would make Mr. Boyd angry.
Okay. I'd now like to play from that same video, or exhibit B3B, along with the transcript, and this would be from the 310 to 359.
You're waiting to get killed in the dark? I can see the goddamn dark. I can smell the goddamn family.
That's none of your goddamn business. That's my business and their business.
Okay?
Okay, what? Roll the sun down. It's God that stops the sun. The sunset belongs to God, man. I'll kill you in the dark if you try to harm me. Now walk out of here. Don't give a fuck. I cry no more forever right here. You know what that means? It means you've already fucking murdered me, man. Your life is at stake. Mine ain't.
Now, you would agree with me that Mr. Boyd's voice is loud in this audio?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. I think the tape speaks for itself.
Okay.
To have detectives don't count on the tape, I think it's cumulative.
Yes, it's loud.
And approximately, when this tape was being recorded, approximately, and again, I guess that shows my age, tape, it's a video, digital file, never mind. That happens too frequently. How far away was Mr. Boyd from Officer Weimerskirch at the time this video was made?
I couldn't guess on the distance because I don't have real good video showing where they're at.
Okay. But this is further, you would agree with me that this is further down the hill than that point in time when the officers tried to close the distance on Mr. Boyd and make the arrest?
Yes, it was down the hill. I mean, it was more than 10, probably 20 feet.
Okay. What I'd like to do now is, from the same exhibit, B3B, and along with the transcript, would like to play minutes 16:15 through 16:21.
Drop the knife, man, and come down here.
I'm dropping up your ass, man.
Oh, come on.
Stop your neck.
Now, you would agree with me that Mr. Boyd said that he would drop a knife into Officer Weimerskirch's neck.
That's correct.
And yesterday we took a look at Officer Weimerskirch's photograph, is that right?
Yes,
And you would agree with me that Officer Weimerskirch had no protection for his neck?
no,
Officer Weimerskirch had body armor that he's required to wear,
yes,
and that's soft body armor, is that right?
that's correct.
And you would agree with me that soft body armor is not designed to protect an officer from edge weapons?
That's correct.
From the same exhibit, I would like to play minute 1829 through 1943, along with the running transcript, with the court's permission.
Put down those weapons, man.
You don't tell me to put down my arms.
Well, I'm not talking to you until you do.
My arms are to protect you also.
Okay, I'm not talking to you until you put those down first.
If somebody's dying tonight, it ain't gonna be me.
Okay, well, we can't do this, man. We're not gonna do this.
We're not a team, man. You ain't my team. I mean, wait. Not with you. You was murderers and rapists, right?
You're not somebody listening to saying what it is.
Sure ain't. Because you keep trying to get near to death, man. Why you approaching death? Why you approaching getting killed together? You want to approach getting killed together? Sooner it means you'll get killed together and I'll walk out of here from the same world for 2 or 3 days. I'll come back over here 6 dead bodies for 2 or 3 days, man. You don't understand that. I'm not supposed to be killed because I want to, man. More hoes, more kids, more make love, more rich family. More kids, critters, murderers, rapists. Why should I have to kill you? Because you're doing shit like that trying to murder me. That's why I got to kill you tonight. You want to die tonight? That's what you approach.
Subject highly agitated, keeps pulling a knife out of his right pocket.
You need to push the power to arrest. You're approaching death tonight. Ain't my fault.
Is it correct to say that your investigation revealed that Mr. Boyd's death threats were serious?
Yes, they were.
Did your investigation reveal that Mr. Boyd made these death threats while he was armed?
Yes, he did.
Did your investigation reveal any evidence which suggested that Mr. Boyd would not carry out his death threats?
No, I did not find any evidence that he wouldn't.
You would agree with me that your investigation revealed that Mr. Boyd made legitimate threats to kill the officers who tried to negotiate with him?
Yes, he did.
Now I'd like to turn your attention to the arrival of Officer Perez. First, it'd be fair to say that Officer Perez arrived at about 7:11, more or less.
Somewhere around there.
And when did the officer-involved shooting of Mr. Boyd take place? And I think we have the CAD to help you with that.
So the shots fired were called out by actual Sergeant, SWAT Sergeant Jim Fox. That's his call sign 710. And it was called out at 1933 hours, which is 7:33, but it had occurred a couple minutes prior to this.
So just going back, Officer Hernandez and Officer McDaniel, they were dispatched at 4:30, is that right?
Yes,
And until, and again, just simple math, the incident, or I should say the shooting happened at 7:30.
approximately, yes.
So this incident, based on the information collected in the CADs, took place over the course of 3.5 hours.
Approximately, yes.
And Officer Perez, however, unlike the other officers who were there, in the early hours, Officer Perez was there at the scene for only 20 minutes before the incident took place.
Correct.
Now, based on your investigation, you would agree that Mr. Boyd had demonstrated his intent to kill law enforcement officers.
Yes,
Mr. Boyd had demonstrated his intent to kill Officer Weimer-Skirch.
yes,
And your investigation revealed that Officer Weimer-Skirch was the closest officer to Mr. Boyd at the time the shots were fired.
yes,
You would agree with me, based on your investigation, that Mr. Boyd, when he was shot and killed, had 2 knives in his possession.
that's correct.
Those knives are deadly weapons.
Yes, they are.
Those knives can be used to stab or cut an officer,
Yes,
and that studying and cutting are serious physical injuries.
yes,
And based on your investigation, you would agree with me that at the time Mr. Boyd had been shot, that he drew his knives and had them in his hands,
yes, he did.
that Mr. Boyd drew his knives in a threatening, menacing manner.
Yes,
And you would agree with me that when it was be a reasonable interpretation of Mr. Boyd pulling out his knives, that he intended to use them.
Objection, Your Honor. What issue?
yes,
You would agree that Officer Weimer-Skirch had put himself in a dangerous position.
yes, he did.
Officer Weimer-Skirch closed the distance between himself and Mr. Boyd.
Yes, he did.
Officer Weimer-Skirch's decision to close the distance put himself in danger, is that right?
That's correct.
And at this time, Your Honor, I would like to play from the same exhibit that we've been referring to before, Exhibit B2C in this particular case, a portion of the video along with the running transcript, and that would be at 6 minutes, 31 seconds to 6 minutes and 41 seconds. In your investigation, did your review of Officer Weimer-Skirch's video reveal that what can be seen in that video is Mr. Boyd's lower body?
It was kind of hard to see on my screen. Could we play it again?
Well, we can play it again, or we can show you a screenshot, which I'd like to lay the foundation for.
No, Your Honor, thank you then.
We have an exhibit that's been marked B3C1, and I'd like to approach the witness, Your Honor. I'd like for you to take a moment.
Okay.
Do you recognize what has been placed in front of you?
Yes, it's a still photograph from CAD and Officer Scott Weimer-Skirch's taser video.
And do you agree that that's a fair and accurate screenshot of the video that's actually shown in Officer Weimer-Skirch's from his video?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to move. Would you please describe what is depicted in this video still?
It is a blurry video, but I can make out the police service dog, Scott Weimer-Skirch's police service dog, as well as the blue bag that was set in front of James Boyd. It appears to be James Boyd's legs, but this is a blurry photo. It is hard to tell.
Using the marking device on your screen, could you please identify for the jury, using the exhibit, what you're referring to?
Yes, so we're talking about the police service dog right here. The blue bag, this was actually when the dog did not do what the dog was supposed to do. The dog actually went after a blue bag that was near where James Boyd was, and you can see that right here. And then again right here, what it appears to be in the upper left-hand corner, James Boyd's legs.
Now, you had mentioned that this is unfortunately a pixelated, blurry video.
Yes.
And would it be helpful to show the video again?
Yes.
With the court's permission, I'd like to show the video again. Did you see the image that's described, that we had placed on the screen just now?
Yes.
And those, in fact, were James Boyd's legs.
Yes, they were.
And that was the bag that Mr. Boyd was holding, that blue bag.
The blue bag, yes.
And then that is police service dog Rex, that's also in the video.
Yes.
May I take a moment to confer, Your Honor? Your Honor, I was reminded I failed to lay a proper foundation for another exhibit that will be used with another witness. I'd like to do that at this time. In your investigation, isn't it true that Sergeant Jason Carpenter had a video camera running during this incident?
Yes.
And as you had mentioned before in your testimony, that the way in which videos are kept, only a certain amount of time can be stored in the cloud, is that right?
Yes.
So that explains why certain videos have 3 parts.
Yes.
And in your investigation, you of course came to learn that Sergeant Jason Carpenter had 3 videos that were made of this incident.
Correct.
Now, have you had an opportunity to watch Exhibit B2A, Exhibit B2B, and Exhibit B2C, which are the 3 videos taken by Sergeant Jason Carpenter?
I have watched them, yes.
Now, in your review of those videos, did you recognize those videos to be videos of this incident involving Mr. Boyd?
Yes, they were.
And you were able to recognize the voices that you heard on that video as the voices of officers who you've come to learn and know through the course of this investigation?
Yes.
And when the video was the video created contemporaneously with the incident that the camera was recording?
Yes.
Are these videos created by the Albuquerque Police Department officers kept in the regular course of business?
Yes.
Are the videos are the videos kept by the Albuquerque Police Department business records of the Albuquerque Police Department?
Yes.
And are those videos true and accurate video recordings of the encounter with Mr. James Boyd on March the 16th, 2014?
Yes, they are.
Although this witness won't testify about this video at this time, Your Honor, I would like the court to rule that the proper foundation has been laid for the admission of Sergeant Carpenter's videos into evidence.
I think the proper foundation is to Sergeant Carpenter. That's the only person who can identify that that's truly and accurately what he saw. So I think there is a business records foundation laid, that has been laid. And then I will just reserve any objection for when it is actually offered with whatever witness will be played.
So the business record foundation has been laid before you know it.
Now, you've also had an opportunity to review the transcripts that were made of Sergeant Carpenter's video, is that right?
Yes,
And you had an opportunity to review the transcripts for accuracy, is that right?
yes,
So you compared the transcripts that were made with the audio that you can hear,
yes,
and you would agree with me that the transcripts accurately record what was being said on the audio.
yes.
And if you had any deletions, additions, or changes that you wanted to make, that opportunity,
Excuse me, Mr. Robles. We'll agree the transcript is accurate, so that Mr. Robles doesn't have to go through this foundation.
And what is it?
they are our exhibits, Exhibit D4A, D4B, and D4C.
And you're saying David and David?
Yes.
Is there a stipulation of David at this time?
I'm gonna wait to see what their office is, but as far as accuracy of the transcript, they're accurate.
Those are my questions. Pass the witness.
Afternoon.
Detective, were you in the courtroom during the opening statements?
No, I was not.
Okay. So you didn't hear the prosecutor's opening statement?
No, I did not.
Okay. Let me ask you if you agree with the following statement regarding this case. Keith Sandy, he was not dispatched to the scene where this shooting took place, but overheard something on the radio and on his own assembled a team of his rope members and went out to the scene. Would you agree that that's truthful?
No, he was contacted by radio control.
Did you ever tell the prosecution that that was factually accurate?
I never discussed it with the prosecution.
Okay. How about this statement? This sniper could see Mr. Boyd never shot at any time during this. That's partially accurate, isn't that right?
He never shot.
Right, but he couldn't see Mr. Boyd the entire time, could he?
I don't believe he saw him the entire time.
Right. When Mr. Boyd was actually posing the threat that you testified to earlier, the sniper had already radioed to everybody saying, "I'm 22 is down," right?
That's correct.
And what does 22 is down mean? What does that mean?
It means he no longer is able to cover them, and that was due to the fact that they were in his line of sight.
Okay. Let me ask you if you believe that this is a true statement. And by the way, let me back up. Did you ever tell the prosecution, the prosecutor's office, did you ever tell them that the sniper could see and could have taken a shot at the time that Mr. Boyd was shot?
No.
Okay. And by the way, just to say this again, but just to make sure, you were the lead case agent, and is it your belief that you know as much as anybody about this case?
I would hope so, yes.
Okay. So, talking about CIT officers,
Yes.
tell me if this statement is true about what was happening up there, including one more CIT officer, crisis intervention trains officer. He was actually the one who had been negotiating with Mr. Boyd. He too was sent away by defendant Sandy and the rope team when they arrived on the scene, rather than let him continue to talk to Mr. Boyd, but they sent him right away there. My question is that accurate? Is that a true statement that Keith Sandy and the rope team sent away the CIT officer?
No, the actual order came from SWAT officer Jeff McFarland.
So just to be clear, your last name is Stone, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Detective. It was McFarland ordered the CIT officer to come down, right?
Yes.
Not Keith Sandy, correct?
No, Keith Sandy did not get over the radio and say that.
In fact, Keith Sandy had nothing to do with any radio communication telling any officers to move off that hill, did he?
No.
And you believe that if he did, you'd know it, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Okay. I just walked that way to that. So, officer, I think you've seen this earlier, haven't you?
Yes.
This is a picture of all these officers, right?
Yes.
Now, one of them is Keith Sandy.
He's
Correct.
underneath Jim Purdue.
Okay. Right here.
Yes.
Okay. With the exception of himself, of course. Did Mr. Sandy ever direct any of these officers on what they were supposed to do in any way on that hill on that day?
No.
So isn't it fair to say that Keith Sandy never ordered anybody to do anything? Isn't that correct?
He never told them to do anything, no.
Excuse me for my writing, but I think Keith Sandy never told anyone to do anything, right?
He never gave them an order, no.
He wasn't in a position to give any orders, was he?
No.
Keith Sandy wasn't a sergeant at the time, right?
No.
In fact, at the time, of that, if you will, just for the sake of using this term, that arrest team, the last few people that were up there. In other words, Keith Sandy, who was lethal cover, Officer Weimerskirts, who was holding the dog, and Acting Sergeant Ingram. The person with the most seniority on that day was actually Acting Sergeant Ingram, right?
That's correct.
There was another sergeant out there named Sergeant Carpenter, correct?
Yes.
And eventually there was another sergeant named Sergeant Fox, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, eventually we've been told, and we see all these pictures, that 19 officers came out to the scene, correct?
Yes, those 19.
So, let me ask you if you believe this statement is true. What was the crime that merited this kind of response? Illegal camping. Now, is that a true statement?
No, that's not why they all came out there.
So, if it said, if the statement was, what was the crime that merited this kind of response? Illegal camping, that's what these people were called out for, would not be correct, would it?
No, only Officer McDaniel and Hernandez were initially there for the illegal camping, or supposed illegal camping.
Okay. Let me ask you if this statement is accurate or true. Speaking of Mr. Boyd now, this was before he was shot.
You're not going to object to this form of question. I think it is improper because.
Speaking of objection, Your Honor, just the basis of, I don't need to approach you, Your Honor. Let me ask you about this statement, if you believe this is correct about Mr. Boyd. He's encircled, and this is right before he's shot. He's encircled, he can't escape, he can't get away, he can't harm anybody. Is that an accurate statement?
No.
So, do you know whether or not it was a man or a woman up there previously with Mr. Boyd, previous to this whole incident?
I don't know for sure.
So, this statement would be incorrect as far as you're concerned. Why we know he was with a woman up there is because Alexander Thixton photographed both of them from his balcony walking around. Now, question is, did you see any pictures from Alexander Thixton that absolutely identified this other person as a woman?
I couldn't tell for sure if it was a woman or not.
How about this statement? Speaking of Mr. Boyd, he had gone on to town and he had gotten a little thing of Church's fried chicken, and he was sitting in his shelter, such as it was, in his home, watching a video on like a little device, watching a movie. Now, was there ever any evidence that you discovered that Mr. Boyd had just gone to Church's fried chicken?
I never explored if he did or not go to Church's.
But you're not aware of any information that he had just been at Church's fried chicken?
No.
And tell me, you're not aware of him watching a movie in his shelter?
Except for the statements that he made during the time that he was watching or wanted to watch a movie, no.
Okay, and he didn't have any device to watch a movie with, did he?
I don't know if he did or not. I don't remember seeing one.
Okay. So, we're talking about the open space officers. Is this statement true? They both pulled their guns on him, not because he did anything wrong. Is that correct?
The reason they pulled their guns was a show of force. They couldn't see his hands, and they were obviously concerned, especially when they saw the knife in his pocket.
Okay. Let me ask you if this is a correct statement as you understand it. This is, again, against APD policy, which says if you suspect somebody is mentally ill, don't touch them. Try to avoid contact with them because people, particularly people who suffer from schizophrenia, don't want to be touched, and that touching them can set them off. Is it an APD policy that you are not allowed to touch someone who's mentally ill?
No, it's not a policy.
When dealing with the police, speaking of the open space officers, tell me if this statement is true. They spin him around to frisk him. Did the two open space officers spin Mr. Boyd around to frisk him?
They went to do a pat down, but I never saw if they actually spun him around, and it was only Officer McDaniel that was doing the approach to do the pat down.
And you don't know, you don't have any information that they actually spun him, do you?
I don't think they physically spun him, no.
So the words "they spin him around" is not a correct statement.
I don't believe so.
Now, when you hear the words defensive posture, and based on your training and experience in law enforcement, when an officer says defensive posture, that also means aggressive posture, doesn't it?
Means that probably a fight's coming, yes.
So, would you agree with this statement? So after the CIT officer arrives, calms him down, not only did he stop pulling out his knives when Michael Monette is there, he stops completely. Is that true?
I guess I don't understand the stops completely part.
Okay. He never was compliant with what officers were asking him at that point. Thing, or an appropriate thing at least, for him to call the sergeant, telling him he's going down with a taser shotgun, right?
Yes.
My understanding is that, your understanding is he got a phone call originally over the phone from APD dispatch, right?
Yes.
Okay, they wanted a taser shotgun, is that correct?
Yes.
That's your understanding as well. He responds, okay, I'll come en route. And he has do you know what kind of unit he was driving at the time?
Like a car? I think he had a pickup truck.
Yeah. And all the gear for a rope detective is in that pickup truck, isn't it?
Yes.
The vest that he's wearing, the uniform that he's wearing, that's all already in the truck, right?
Yes.
And so your understanding is he starts heading, and he lives on the other side of the Sandia Mountains, doesn't he?
I don't know if he does now. I believe he did then.
Okay. And your understanding was that he needed to travel to town,
Yes.
and he headed through the canyon doing that, right?
Yes.
And you're familiar that on the other side, I don't know if you are not, are you familiar that on the other side of the mountain, the APD radio doesn't even work?
To a certain distance, you will lose communications.
Okay. So do you know whether or not, even if Keith wanted to, he could even use a radio on that side of the mountain?
Not till you're past Tejeras going towards the city.
Okay. So your understanding is once he's en route driving, then he gets a phone call from APD dispatch again, correct?
Yes.
And APD dispatch says, you know what, we made a mistake. It wasn't you that Sergeant Carpenter wanted. He wanted us to call out gangs because they have a taser shotgun. Is that your understanding?
The request from Sergeant Carpenter was specific to the gang unit, or gangs.
But on the first call, the APD dispatcher didn't tell that to Mr. Sandy, did they?
I don't believe so.
On the second phone call, he learned that and he was already en route, correct?
Correct.
And he basically informed APD dispatch that, you know what, I'm already en route. You don't need to, call someone else off for their Sunday or on call. I'm already headed that way. I'll do it, right?
Yes.
Anything wrong with that, sir?
Stuff like that's happened before where, someone will go en route and tell someone else, hey, I got this, you don't have to worry about it.
So he was doing a nice thing for a fellow officer who he didn't even know was on call, right? The gang person, is that correct?
Yeah, again, it's not uncommon to call somebody off.
Okay. So then let me ask you if this statement is a true statement. Canine officers get called, Warmerskirch and Roseanne, that Keith Sandy called them.
Again, the request came from Sergeant Carpenter. I know that While speaking with Keith Sandy, he said that he wanted K-9 to be requested, and they got on the radio with K-9 and talked to them over the radio.
But Sergeant Carpenter had already called out for K-9, right?
Yes, he made that request, and it was on the CAD.
Keith Sandy never spoke directly to a K-9 officer to come out, right?
He spoke to K-9, I believe, over the radio, but again, I don't know what the
But
conversation
not to
was.
call them out, though, right?
I think they were already en route.
After already en route.
Yes, I believe so.
So, would you agree with this statement? Sandy, Weimerskirts, Ingram are the ones that sort of arrive at the scene and start making decisions and telling people what to do. That's not true, is it?
When they arrived on the scene, they worked together, and they did discuss about options, about a plan, what they could do.
Listen to my question. Ingram, Sandy, Weimerskirts, Ingram are the ones that sort of arrive at the scene and start making decisions and telling people what to do.
Yeah, I don't think they were telling all the officers what to do.
So, by the way, Keith Sandy, when asked to, turned in his lapel, or his camera card, the video card for the camera, right?
Yes,
What's that card called?
it's an SD card?
An SD is in dog?
Yes.
SD card. Keith turned it in, right?
It was collected that night, yes.
Turns out, though, that the camera didn't capture any footage on that SD card. Is that correct?
Not of that incident, no.
But when asked, he voluntarily gave that right in. And
Yes, it was collected from him.
the statement about this response to the Hill where Mr. Boyd was, the statement, Sandy's been the one that sort of organized all this. That's not true, is it?
No, he was not the sole person that organized all this.
So you just told the court today that it was Officer McFarland that actually called down the CIT officer from that hill, right?
Over the radio, that is correct.
And Officer McFarland is with the SWAT team, right?
Yes.
So tell me what you think of this statement, if it's accurate. Although even the SWAT team, when there's already a CIT officer talking, doesn't pull the CIT officer down. That's not true, is it?
I'm sorry, could you say that first part again?
Sure. Although even the SWAT team, when there's already a CIT officer talking, doesn't pull the CIT officer. The SWAT team pulled the CIT officer, didn't they?
Yeah, Officer Jeff McFarland.
Who was part of that SWAT team, correct?
Yes.
I'd like to talk to you about Exhibit 1 of the states. I'm going to try it on the Elmo, Your Honor, if I can. That's already been admitted. States Exhibit 1. Okay. Can you see that, Detective?
Yes.
Do you see H, immediate threat?
Yes.
Okay. I'm I'm going to ask you, based on your training experience, when it says, and your investigation, if you will, it says intent. Do you see that the suspect demonstrates his or her intent to resist being controlled or to inflict physical injury, e.g. gives pre-assault indicators?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, just to make sure we're clear, this is the procedural order, and I'm just going to put this on, this is the first page, on use of force, right?
Yes, it was APD's policy for use of force at the time.
Okay. Now, at the time, this helps all of you officers understand what the articulable threat is, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and intent. So based on right before Mr. Boyd was shot, did he demonstrate his or her intent to resist being controlled or inflict physical injury?
Objection, ultimate issue, Your Honor.
It's not the ultimate issue. Did he do that?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And then means and opportunity. The subject is physically capable of carrying out the perceived threat and is in a position to do so. On that split second before he was shot, was Mr. Boyd, in fact, did he in fact have the means and opportunity to stab Officer Weimerskirch?
Yes, he did.
Now, my understanding is that, and I think we just saw this in a much more much probably better electronic way, but using the Elmo here, do you see there where it's at 1823? James has an extensive criminal history of aggravated battery on police officers. We just went through that to
Yes.
some extent, correct?
Yes.
And actually, before that, or simultaneously, or before that's actually written, those comments were relayed over the air too, right?
Yes, they were.
So the police officers listening to their radio at that point, on the scene or en route to the scene, actually heard basically that same thing. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you've verified that because you've listened to that and you've looked at the CAD, and they're consistent with each other, right?
Yes.
And your understanding is that when Mr. Sandy arrived, he arrived where, and he met up with an old friend of his, Sergeant Ware. Is that correct?
Yes.
Sergeant Ware was with state police, right?
Yes.
And it was brought out in direct a couple of days ago that they're old friends and they've known each other for some time, right?
Yes, I believe so.
You'd agree with me that they started bantering back and forth some, didn't they?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Sandy had asked, Keith Sandy had asked why the state police was there, right?
Yes.
And he said for this guy up on the hill, and Keith Sandy actually used some foul language, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He said, for this fucking lunatic, did he say that?
Yes.
Okay, and then he said, I'm going to go up in a second and shoot him with a taser shotgun, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, not the best of language choice, right?
No.
But nonetheless, he had just been advised of the gentleman's mental instability for sure, right?
Objection, Your Honor, I don't think it's been established that the Sandy heard those transmissions.
Sure. Do you know whether or not, I think you talked about it in direct, did Keith Sandy had informed you of what he had heard over the radio as far as somewhat of Mr. Boyd's history, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and that included the things that are listed that we've just gone over. If we need to put them back up, we will, but specifically, that included a criminal history of aggravated battery on peace officers, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, he knew, and it also said that he was suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, and schizophrenia, I can't say the word, but schizophrenia, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then, he says this language, and then he says, and I'm going to go up and shoot him with a taser shotgun in a second, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, based on everything that's been reported to this point, we know the man has pulled 2 knives on 2 police officers, right?
Yes.
We know the man has a violent criminal history and is mentally unstable, correct?
Yes.
We know that he has been asked numerous times at this point to put down the knives and he won't do it, right?
Correct.
We know that he's threatened to kill police officers at this point, right?
Yes.
Now, knowing that, it would be authorized use of force to shoot someone with a taser shotgun to bring them into compliance, right?
If that situation arises, yes.
If it continued, if someone had to be brought into detained or arrested, and they had done all these things, the use of a taser shotgun, knowing all those things and knowing the circumstance, would not be an unjustified use of force, would it?
No.
Now, you've heard those words, and you heard the context in which they were said to Sergeant Ware, right?
Yes.
Okay. When you heard that, you never inferred that Keith Sandy had some intent to murder James Boyd, did you? He's the lead investigator. And she's opened the door by asking for intent earlier. She asked him what the intent was in direct.
We're speaking of the two, I'll ask.
The use of force SOP that we were just going through, it states Exhibit 1.
Yes.
You remember this, the use of force?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't find any provision that Keith Sandy violated, did you?
As far as the use of force,
Yes.
no.
Now, what was Keith Sandy's one and only job on that hill immediately preceding Mr. Boyd being shot?
He was providing lethal cover for Officer Scott Weimerskirch.
Now, you just testified earlier that apparently, I think you testified, if I heard you right, that perhaps Mr. Weimerskirch closed ground a little too quick.
That he did.
And that was a mistake on his part, you believe?
Yes, it was a mistake on his part.
Okay. You've been a veteran, you've been a police officer for a lot of years now. How many years total?
As a police officer?
Yes.
Over 9 years.
Okay. When a fellow police officer makes a mistake like that and he goes up that hill when he shouldn't be following right behind that dog, same kind of situation. You just let him go and say, I know I'm lethal cover, but sorry, you're on your own?
Objection, ultimate issue, Your Honor.
That's not the ultimate issue. Do you just let him go?
No. It's your responsibility to cover him.
Even if he's making a mistake getting too close?
You try to, if you can, try to prevent him from getting that close if it's at all possible, but still your responsibility is to keep coverage of him and make sure that he's safe.
And that goes with him even if he is getting too close to an armed subject, right? Your job is always to make sure he's safe, right?
Yes.
And that's your only job, right?
Yes.
In fact, that's your sworn duty, isn't it?
Yes.
Just a moment, Your Honor.
Stone, I'd like to start with the CADs that Mr. Robles went over with you, and then we'll get to what I think was Mr. Bregman calling me a liar for the last half hour, okay?
Okay.
In these CADs,
Is that appropriate? I don't think I called her a liar. I just pointed out her inconsistencies in her opening that are false.
all right. Let's start with the CAD, which is Exhibit A, Detective Stone.
Yes.
At 2048, what is that in military time?
8:48.
Wasn't there a psychologist called out to the scene? Let me see if I can. There you go.
Yes.
And that psychologist actually arrived at the scene in about 5 minutes by 2053.
I don't think arrived. It says the psychologist is 10-4, which means they understand to go en route.
All right. And does it have on here when the psychologist arrived?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the rest of it.
Okay. Well, Judge, this is an exhibit that they moved into evidence.
I'll hear what you want to discuss.
Approximately.
And at that time, Mr. Boyd was no longer at the scene, was he?
No, he was at the hospital.
And in fact, here is a entry right here that he was in surgery and was critical.
That's correct.
So the psychologist wasn't called out for Mr. Boyd, was it?
Objection leading, Your Honor.
I'll rephrase, Judge. Who was the psychologist called out for? Detective Stone.
The officers.
And how is there a psychologist on call for APD?
We have a psychologist that is employed by the Albuquerque Police Department. Due to the fact that this job comes with many stressors, one of the reasons for having a psychologist is to go out there and make sure that officers are doing all right.
And is he available 24/7, he or she?
Objection leading, Your Honor.
I think that's not a leading question. What hours is he or she available?
I believe they're on call 24/7.
No one during the 3-hour standoff with Mr. Boyd ever called out a psychologist for Mr. Boyd, did they, sir?
No.
I also want to talk about one of the entries here on this CAD that was admitted at 1911. Let me find it. Uh, 1911-06, I think the comment is, subject continues to be agitated, picked up a rock and threw it at 34S. Do you see that, sir?
Threw it at 34s, threw it at officers, yes.
And you went through the CADs and the radio transmissions and also all the statements, is that right?
Yes.
And in fact, Mr. Boyd never did throw a rock at anybody, did he?
No, I believe it was a roll or a sandwich or something.
Yes, sir, and how we know that, actually, is Defendant Sandy's own statement, isn't that right?
Yes, I believe he said that.
And where did the roll or the sandwich come from?
From up near Boyd's camp. He had it with him.
Oh, yes, sir, I mean, what restaurant did it come from?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, let me show you, refresh your recollection for me to show you
Yes.
Defendant Sandy's statement to find out where the sandwich and the roll came from. Can you read that and then tell me when your memory's refreshed?
Yes.
Where was it from?
He got it from his tent, and he said it was from Church's Chicken or something like that.
All right, and he was eating some of it, and then he threw it down.
Towards the dog.
Towards the dog, and he said that the dog could have it, didn't he?
Yeah, something to that effect.
Okay. And so, Mr. Boyd had been to Church's Fried Chicken?
I never investigated if he actually went there, but according to Keith Sandy, in the statement, that's what he said.
All right. Let's get to, not all the calls are on the CADs, are they?
All the what? All the calls?
Not all the calls or people being dispatched are on these CADs, are they, sir?
Not everything that happened over the radio or, right, everyone that probably went there is on the CAD.
All right, for example, is Defendant Sandy being called out on these CADs that have been introduced as Defendant's Exhibit A?
Like requesting him?
Yes, sir.
No.
On these CADs, was Defendant Sandy ever requested by anybody?
No.
And there is an indication from his own words about how he got dispatched, is that right?
Yes, he was called.
That's correct, he was called on the phone rather than dispatched over the radio, is that right?
Yes.
All right, so he was called at what time on the phone? Would you like to refresh your recollection, so you're correct? Okay.
Had it here yesterday.
All right. What time did he get the phone call? Just refresh your memory, maybe no.
5:23.
Okay. And how long was it before they called back and said,
I had that
You got that
one.
one?
5:27.
okay, so how many minutes was it between the time it was called and the time they called back and told him they'd made a mistake, they didn't want him to come?
4 minutes.
And at that point, what did he say to them, even though the call had only been pending for 4 minutes?
Disregard that he would be around.
All right, and told them to, and was he specifically told that Sergeant Carpenter didn't want him, he wanted the taser shotgun from gangs?
Yes, the request had been made from the gang unit.
All right.
Or to the gang unit.
And this kind of call is not the kind of call that Rope would typically respond to, is it?
Like I said, back then I wasn't in Rope, but this whole thing seemed like it probably should have been a SWAT call only,
And not a Rope call?
or a gang call.
All right. Could Defendant Sandy have just since the whole reason he was being called was, well, was he being called because he was on a Rope team?
He was being called specifically because they were issued at the time taser shotguns, which field officers don't have.
Okay, so he was being called to bring the taser shotgun,
Yes,
and that's the only reason.
that was the reason he was called, correct?
And could he have just showed up at the scene and given somebody the taser shotgun?
No.
Okay. Isn't that exactly what he did?
He passed it off, well, I guess I should say, he can't give it to someone who's not trained in it, but he did pass it off to Sergeant Rick Ingram.
All right. And after he got that call and then told them disregard gang unit, who did he call?
Acting Sergeant Rick Ingram.
And who did he tell Rick Ingram to call?
He said, K9.
He told Rick Ingram to call K9.
Right.
And did Rick Ingram do that?
I don't know if he actually called him.
Okay. Were there some conversations between Defendant Sandy, Rick Ingram, and Scott Weimerskirch that are not reflected on these CADs?
Yes, they spoke on a frequency called rope air that is not recorded, so I don't know what was said.
And why is rope air not recorded?
It's a frequency that is used for more sensitive investigations, undercover investigations, so those ones are not recorded.
So this jury doesn't have any record of what was said between Defendant Sandy, Rick Ingram, and Scott Weimerskirch before they got to the scene, do they?
No.
What did Defendant Sandy say that he talked to them about on rope air?
I don't exactly remember the whole conversation. I'd have to refresh my memory.
There you go, page 5.
Okay.
Okay. What did he tell them that he?
Yeah, he said that Control had called them about a guy armed with knives and that they requested a taser shotgun.
He essentially briefed the sergeant and Scott Weimerskirch, is that right?
According to him, yes.
All right. That's from his own words in his own statement.
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the elements of aggravated assault, which I think you were asked about. Can a police officer commit aggravated assault on a citizen?
It depends on the circumstances.
Yes, sir, but can they commit aggravated assault
They
on a
could.
citizen? If a police officer points a gun at someone who has done nothing wrong, is that aggravated assault?
If it wasn't warranted, yes.
Okay. And is low ready an aggravated assault?
Depends on the encounter with the individual and what that individual took that low ready as.
Okay, and I'm just wondering if that counts, or if I have to actually point the gun at you before it becomes an aggravated assault.
You don't necessarily have to have the gun pointed at the individual. You know, if I have it down on the ground and I tell you I'm going to shoot you with this gun right now, then I think you would probably still be in fear that I could do that.
Okay, and there's a difference between assault and battery, is that right?
Yes.
Battery involves
Actually going through with the attacking.
or striking, hitting the person, actually touching the
Yes.
person. And a police officer shooting a gun and hitting you, is that aggravated battery?
I'm going to object to continue leading questions.
Well, it's a hypothetical, Judge, I'm trying to get to.
Why don't we get a hypothetical to a
Sustained.
All right. What would it qualify for aggravated battery if someone shot someone and struck them?
Just to object to these hypotheticals, now, Your Honor.
Try to get an example of aggravated battery, Judge.
When are you asking for one?
Give me an example of when a shooting would be an aggravated battery.
An aggravated battery involving a firearm is when somebody shoots another person.
Okay. In his own statement, did Defendant Sandy tell you that what he saw as far as Mr. Boyd turning before he fired his first shot?
Objection, asked and answered direct 2 days ago.
Oh, I think this has been
Sustained,
gone
it
into,
was-
Judge.
It was asked and answered.
I want to talk about the squared off position, so that's, if I can get to that. I think the defense lawyers asked you about what a squared-off position was. And in his statement, didn't Defendant Sandy say that he turned from the squared-off position before he fired his first shot?
Turn to the left. Yes.
Yes, sir. And he saw that he had turned from the squared-off position before he fired his first shot.
Yes.
Okay, and what position was Mr. Boyd in as Mr., I'm sorry, I keep getting the names confused because late in the day. So what position was Defendant Sandy, hold on, let me just take a second. What position was Mr. Boyd in when Defendant Sandy fired his first and second shots?
He was kind of not in a squared off part, but kind of starting to the left turn.
All right. And did Mr. Sandy tell you whether he saw Mr. Boyd through his scope again before he made the decision to fire a third time?
Yes.
And what did he say? Was
still standing.
He was still standing, and so why did he fire the third shot?
He was still standing.
Okay. And did he admit to you that he had shot Mr. Boyd?
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about center mass and holding center mass. Yesterday, when you showed the jury what center mass was, you did it when someone was facing you.
That's correct.
Okay, so I want to ask you if, did Defendant Sandy say he shot center mass?
I'd have to refresh my memory.
Okay, let me show
I believe
you.
he did.
Okay, let me show you that page then.
Yes.
All right, so if someone is turning to you, you're Defendant Sandy, and I'm turned to you.
Mm-hmm.
When he said he held center mass, where would center mass be if the person is turned to you like this?
So the way you're oriented right now, center mass for me, if I'm aiming, is going to be your kind of your right shoulder, right here.
Okay, so right from here to here.
Right.
And can you explain for the record where you're saying here to here?
I'm saying from my shoulder down to my elbow.
That is what I would consider high center mass.
Right, and is that where Defendant Sandy's bullet hit, Mr. Boyd?
I believe.
Objection, because I don't want him to speculate on more bullets in your arm. I don't, just
Let me ask you,
speculation.
in an area.
Same objection.
With regard to a foundation,
Not the foundation that he knows.
I'll ask you to change the question.
And it's beyond the scope.
You know where, oh, I don't think it's beyond the
Where
scope.
the bullets hitting on, or is beyond the scope? I didn't ask about the bullets hitting on.
That's true. So sustained with regard to beyond the
All
scope.
right, and talking about center mass, is this area from the shoulder to the elbow, the area, well, let me try to ask the question. That's what you're referring to as center mass?
The way you're positioned now,
Yes,
yes.
sir. And is that where Defendant Sandy told you he shot?
As he started turning, he didn't really say what part of the body or how turned he was, but it's hard to say.
Okay, but if the angle is this way, center mass to you at that point means where?
Objection, relevance, what it means to him at this point, because we're confusing the two.
I think he's already answered that question
Thanks, Judge.
a few times already.
All right. Were you able, in your investigation, to determine the position James Boyd was in when the shots were fired?
Approximately, yes.
And can you show the jury? Can you come down and show the jury? And I'll be the shooter, and you be James Boyd, where he was in relation to Defendant Sandy, and how his body was when Defendant Sandy fired the shots.
Yeah, so.
Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should actually do it this direction. Let the jury say this way.
Yeah, so you're going to have to kind of stand right here.
Okay.
Officer Weimerskirch was right there. So when Mr. Boyd first pulled out the knives, what he's talking about squaring off, from what you see in the video, now the video is being taken from over here, so there's kind of an angle that you have to deal with. So he's squared off like this.
But he didn't have his hands up like this way.
It was kind of like they looked like they were like this with,
All right.
with the knives.
Okay, so then when he turned, how was he?
He started to turn like this, and that's where I hear the first shot going, right around here.
All right. And who is in line with his right arm from this position?
Objection, lack of foundations, who's in line? Is this based on video?
Based on, it's my understanding, based on the video.
Okay.
Sure, and him knowing
So
Objection, the officer testified,
the,
attorney testified.
that's fine, but while you're doing this type of examination, I'll ask that you help the record by describing what the witness is.
All right, so the witness is turning to his left and presenting, and the witness is presenting his left side to the person who is shooting. Okay, thanks.
I think he was turning left, presenting his right side.
Did I say the exact
You
wrong
said
thing?
left
I'm
side.
sorry, Judge.
I'll just correct that for the
All right, thank you very much. How many bullets did Defendant Sandy admit that he fired?
3,
How many bullets struck Mr. Boyd from his gun?
from Keith Sandy's gun.
Yes,
Objection, lack of foundation, Your Honor, this witness is
I'll lay the foundation. Were you able to determine
beyond the scope, Your Honor.
Sustained.
were you able to recover any bullets from Defendant Sandy's gun in James Boyd's body?
Beyond the scope, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Judge, I don't, and I'm going to explain, because of Ms. Desrosier's testimony, I'm going to explain why he went to Canada. And this sort of leads up to, couldn't get these bullets, found one bullet. Well, all right, let me think of a different way to get to the Desrosier bullet, okay? Were you able to recover any bullets any bullets that you could test at all from the scene?
Beyond the scope, Your Honor. Objection.
Sustained as to beyond the scope
All right.
of the cross-examination of this witness.
Were there bullets that was recovered from Mr. Boyd's shoulder and his back?
Beyond the scope, Your Honor. Objection.
Sustained.
During the time that Defendant Sandy was firing his 3 shots, was Mr. Boyd's back ever turned to Defendant Sandy?
Objection beyond the scope.
I don't think so, Judge.
I concur.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
All right. Based on your entire investigation, were you able to determine whether any of the bullets fired by Defendant Sandy struck Mr. Boyd?
Objection, beyond the scope, and this is getting a little bit
Sustained.
argumentative
Again.
with the court.
Please move on.
Was there any additional investigation done? Well, let me see. Judge, can we approach this? Because let me tell you what I'm trying to get through. Training and experience, is it concerning to you that although Sergeant Fox requested a plan of Officer Weimer-Skirch, no plan was developed and articulated to the other officers on the scene?
Yes, not so much the perimeter officers, but the plan to Sergeant Fox maybe should have been voiced.
Okay, and based on your investigation and interviews, did you ask Weimer-Skirch if he developed a plan as instructed by Sergeant Fox?
I don't know if I remember asking that specific question during the interview.
Okay. Why is it important to have a plan and to let everybody know about it?
Again, anyone who's going to be intimately involved in the plan needs to know the details of the plan. Otherwise things can get out of control. Now, when it gets to like the SWAT team coming up with the plan, they will, whoever is going to be executing that plan around there will brief everyone in that particular area, but that they won't necessarily always, they won't brief the perimeter officers. They typically, because those perimeter officers won't be around the area, nor will they be involved in the plan.
And why is it important for people like the sniper to know what the plan is?
If the sniper is going to be a part of the execution of that plan, he should definitely know.
All right, and have you looked through the CADs to see if we know at what time the sniper, Jim Perdue, radioed to them that he could no longer see Mr. Boyd?
No, that wasn't in the CAD.
All right. What is your understanding of what happened that blocked Sniper Perdue's view of James Boyd?
When Officer Weimer-Skirch, Keith Sandy, and Rick Ingram came into their final position, kind of more on a closely elevated spot as to James Boyd, they actually got in between James Boyd and Jim Perdue.
And is there any indication that they had radioed to Jim Perdue that they were going to do this first?
I don't think so.
And so if Jim Perdue was going to try to shoot to cover this scene, who was in the way?
The officers were in the way.
And is that a good tactical plan?
Well, again, it depends on, again, the arrest team are going to be the ones going hands-on. So they're going to have to determine where the best place to be is. So it's kind of up to them where they need to be, not so much the sniper.
All right. What does it do as far as taking the sniper out of being able to provide cover for them?
Objection leading, Your Honor.
I don't think that was leading the judge.
Well, the sniper can't provide lethal cover anymore.
Okay, because there are people on the way.
Yes.
By 5:11 on your CAD that you went through, everyone was told over the radio that Mr. Boyd was mentally ill?
Yes, that was put on the CAD and over the radio.
And I think they touched on this, but is it true that they never told Mr. Boyd that they were going to arrest him or take him to jail? Is that one of the things you talked about?
Yes, they stayed away from that conversation.
And what was the reason that he kept saying he didn't want to give up his knives?
Well, he kept saying that they didn't have the authority to, and because they were further attacking him and stuff like that.
Did he express fear that they might hurt him if he gave up his knives?
Yes, he did.
Mr. Robles asked you a question about that he kept saying, I'm under assault, when he was not under assault. I think that was the way Mr. Robles phrased the question.
Yes.
From the moment that the open spaces officers arrived, was there ever a time from that moment until 2 hours and 45 minutes later when he was shot that somebody wasn't pointing a gun at Mr. Boyd at this scene?
Again, there were officers in the low ready, so I don't know if they always had their guns drawn. You could see clearly from the videos and the shadows that when Mr. Boyd, even though you couldn't see him in the video approach, you would see the guns come raised up. And obviously they would tell him to back away, and when that would happen, you would see the guns come back down. Now, the guns were always drawn.
Right, and Mr. Boyd could see that the guns were always drawn when they were around him, right?
Objection, calls for speculation, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Well, the officers didn't do anything to try to hide the fact that they had drawn guns on Mr. Boyd, did they?
I'm going to allow it.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, that's not something that you would want to hide from somebody that you're trying to arrest.
Okay. They wanted them to see that they had pulled guns on him.
Right, again, it goes back to the show of force.
All right.
I couldn't hear any objection. Is there an objection?
I'm sorry, I've said objection leading again, Your Honor.
And is it your testimony that Mr. Boyd, I'm sorry, Judge, did you rule?
I just overruled.
Okay. Is it your testimony that Mr. Boyd was unreasonable in his fear that the officers might shoot him?
I mean, it's hard to say. I didn't get a chance to interview James Boyd.
Okay. And the ultimate result of this encounter was that what?
He was shot.
All right. I think they touched on 5:13. They requested ambulance and the fire department. And can you say why they requested the ambulance at that time?
In case a use of force occurred and someone needed to have medical attention right away.
Okay. And does the CAD show how long after the shooting that rescue was actually able to get up there to the scene to take care of
No.
it? How long is it your understanding would it have taken? First of all, where were they?
They were at the top of Copper, the street Copper, at the parking lot to the open space.
Right. And so how long just to get all the gear and get up there would it take after he got shot?
So-
Objection to the extent that it calls for speculation.
I think he's got the foundation for it, Judge. I can lay more if you'd like. You've walked from Copper up there many, many times, have you not, Detective Stone?
Yes.
Okay. So how long would it have taken them to get all their gear and get up there to that site to treat Mr. Boyd?
Object that as soon as facts have evidence that they walked.
Did they?
I'm going to allow it.
How did they get there, Detective Stone?
They did walk up there. It would have taken several minutes.
All right. Did any officer administer first aid to Mr. Boyd at the scene before the rescue team arrived?
I don't.
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Is there an SOP on having a camera and turning in a camera footage?
Yes.
And is it enough that you turn in the card from your it's a lapel cam is what
Lapel cam.
Sandy had. Is it enough that you turn in is that all the policy says, that all you have to do is turn it in?
You have to download the video and give it to criminalistics, so
Right.
yes.
Well, do you have to turn your lapel cam on?
Yes,
Okay, and that's what the SOP says, 139.1, that they will use the tape digital recorder to document the incidents listed below, including all of these things that might apply to Mr. Boyd. Is that right?
that's correct.
And if an officer didn't turn on his lapel cam, would that be a violation of the SOP?
Yes.
When you looked on this, there was nothing on the lapel cam that recorded anything about this encounter, was there?
No.
We talked about how this case has been treated a little differently from a regular homicide investigation a little bit yesterday, but I wanted to ask you about one more thing that happened. Can you tell the jury when you reviewed all of these radio transmissions with the CAD tapes?
It's actually beyond the scope.
I don't remember which day, but it would have been as soon as I got them from the from like APD control, radio control, and when I got all the videos from criminalistics.
And did you spend time over the last month or so reviewing them again?
Yes.
And at whose request did you re-review all the radio transmissions and compare them to the CADs?
Mr. Robles.
And that's the lawyer for defendant Pettis.
Yes.
Have you ever, in any homicide case, ever before, well, first of all, how much time did it take you to do all that?
Well, I've gone over them before, so it didn't take me very long.
All right. Have you ever, in any other case, when the lawyer for a defendant in a homicide case requested you to do something, have you ever spent time doing things at the direction of the defense lawyer?
I've never had one ask or send me anything before.
All right. And that is different from what you've done in other homicide cases, is that right?
Exactly. No one's ever reached out to me like that before.
All right. Is it fair to say that you have a pro-police bias in this case, Detective Stone?
Pro-police?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm a police officer, so
Right.
I do believe in police officers, but I also believe in conducting a thorough investigation.
Okay. And the reason I ask that is from the questions about asking whether or not you interpreted Mr. Boyd's actions as a surrender. You're aware that Mr. Boyd said right before he came down, "I want to walk with you." Is that right?
I'd have to listen to or watch the video again. I don't exactly know what he said.
Okay.
But he said something to that effect.
Right, and he said something to them about, "I'm trusting you to keep your word." Is that right?
Correct.
And one of the ways that a person can surrender is if they're told to lay on the ground, if they turn and lay on the ground. Is that right?
If they're told to lay on the ground exactly that way, yes.
Right, and Mr. Boyd wasn't told to put his hands up in the air right before he got shot.
No.
He was told to lay on the ground.
I think get down.
Right before he was shot, he said, "Don't make fun of people," didn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. You don't find that to be an aggressive statement, do you?
Well, I find it out of the ordinary, but then again, he was suffering from mental illness.
Okay. You admit that if someone's ordered to lay on the ground and they lay on the ground, that could be a way to surrender.
Asked and answered.
Okay, thanks, Judge, that's all I have. Gun never used, at the time of the shooting.
Why was the beanbag shotgun never used?
Uh-huh.
There was no beanbag shotgun with the arrest team.
They didn't take one up there,
No.
okay? How many beanbag shotguns were there at the scene at the time that they went up there?
4 that I know of.
Okay. Did you ever, now let me see if I can get this one right. Did you ever ask Officer Weimer-Skirch how he thought his advancing on Mr. Boyd changed the plan regarding Detective Sandy and his need to cover him?
If I understand the question correctly, Officer Weimer-Skirch close the distance and didn't realize that he had gotten so close to Mr. Boyd and caused what happened.
Okay. In your investigation, did you learn who between Sandy, Ingram, and Weimerskirch was supposed to be the person who was going to be hands-on and arrest Mr. Boyd?
As far as hands-on, I was never told who was going to do the handcuffing.
That wasn't part of the plan?
Not that they ever told me, no.
Okay. Thanks, Charlie. I think those are the three questions.